Celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. Prodigy Bowlers Tour welcomes you to episode 146, the 2023 Kansas City Open May Points Tournament, Division I Championship Round. Today, 5 finalists will meet in a series of head-to-head matches where the winner will keep advancing as long as he keeps winning. In our opening match, the number 5 qualifier, Gabriel Coleman of the Bowling-Coleman family in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, will meet the 4 seed, Caden White of Lee Summit, Missouri. The winner of that opening match will advance to face our number 3 qualifier, Logan Bennett of Overland Park, Kansas, making his first appearance on Prodigy today. That winner will take on the 2 seed, PJ Douglas of Olathe, Kansas. And the winner of that match will bowl for the championship against our tournament leader, Colby Lovegren of Lenexa, Kansas. It's a stacked field today, but one of these young men will come out the winner in Division I at the Kansas City Open May Points Tournament. We're back in St. Joseph, Missouri, home of Missouri Western State University, where the world champion Kansas City Chiefs hold their training camp each summer. But today, our host is Revolution's Lanes and Fun Center, site of the 2023 Kansas City Open May Points Tournament. This is the final KCO Points Tournament of the season, as next month at the KCO Invitational, the points winners will receive their scholarship awards. But today, we're here to bring you the Division I Championship Round. As regular viewers of Prodigy know by now, the KCO holds competitions each month in 5 average-based divisions, with Division I being the group with averages of 200 and higher, and the one group that bowls scratch. Today, we've got 2 first-timers on Prodigy in Gabriel Coleman and Logan Bennett, and 3 players who have been on Prodigy before, including 2 Colby Lovegren and PJ Douglas, who battled for the title at the March Points Tournament in an unforgettable, heart-stopping finale in which PJ got the best of Colby, a fact that has stuck in Colby's craw ever since. I think he'd like to get a measure of revenge today. But first things first, here's a recap of how the Division I qualifying round went down. As usual, they bowled 6 games of qualifying, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. By the time the morning block was completed, Gabriel Coleman established himself as a strong frontrunner with a 691 series. But Colby Lovegren was lurking as the nearest pursuer, while Caden White and Logan Bennett were close behind. Another Coleman, Andrew, was inside the cut line at 5th, while PJ Douglas was on the outside looking in, and Davis Best was in an unfamiliar spot near the back of the pack in 13th. But then, by the time the afternoon block wrapped up qualifying, there was a big shakeup. Gabriel Coleman dropped from 1st to 5th, while Davis Best put on a crazy afternoon charge with a closing 247. Still, he came up 8 pins short of a roll-off for the 5th position, and Davis is our alternate. Colby Lovegren remained steady and assumed the lead as Logan Bennett and Caden White switched positions, and Andrew Coleman fell all the way from 5th to 10th, opening the door for PJ Douglas to make a big move from 6th all the way up to 2nd. Other names familiar to Prodigy viewers include Carson Beach, who finished 7th, Landon Stoddard, 8th, 2-time winner Rhett Ryman, 9th, Dylan Rucker, 13th, and Mr. 822, Paul Stigall, finished 14th. But now it's time to open this can of tuna. Our opening match features the number 5 qualifier, Gabriel Coleman, the brother of Grace Coleman, who won the Division IV show in Leavenworth in March, and Caden White, who won in Leavenworth in February, but because we weren't there to tape it, he's still looking to qualify for the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions. And that was Shelley Patterson of the Kansas City Open Board of Directors, who just walked by with the smiley face covering her face. She made me do it. She said, "I do not want my face on the show." She's so funny. Gabriel Coleman will lead off and get us started here. Oh no! Right through the heart for the 4-6. Oh, Gabriel from the Bowling Coleman family. There's Bailey Coleman, who was on our adult youth doubles event in December. There's Andrew, who was on the adult youth doubles event in March. And there's Grace Coleman, who won the Division IV points tournament in April when we were in Leavenworth. So Gabriel is the last of the Colemans to make the show. Oh my goodness gracious, throwing away pins right away. 8 out. So an open to start for Gabriel, and he will get to sit down and stew on that for a couple of minutes, while Caden White steps up on the right lane. Caden is 16 years old. He's made a couple of appearances on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, but it's the one he missed that doesn't sit so well with him. I'm referring, of course, to the time he won the Kansas City Open in Division I in February. That was the event we missed because I was in the hospital with injuries from a car accident. The 310, this is what he left. The farther left you stand to shoot it, the narrower the gap between the two pins. So I recommend standing as far left as you can get. Well, he got a little too much of the 3-pin. And because he didn't start from the far left of the approach, he had less opportunity for the ball to deflect into the 10. So both players start with an open. And now Caden will try to do better. And he does just that. Puts that one right in the pocket for a solid strike. Let's take another look at it here. We'll get a good look at Caden's game. 5-step approach, two-hander. Slides, a little hop at the foul line. Not sure if that had anything to do with the approaches, but he pasted the pocket. We're bowling on wood approaches. It's a little old school here in St. Joseph. Synthetic lanes, but the approaches are all wood. Just like the good old days when I started bowling. Everything was wood back then. Well, Gabriel puts another one right through the nose, and he'll get a crack at the 6-pin. One thing about these approaches is, if you'll notice, they only have 5 dots. And some of the younger players in the field had a word or two about that. I talked to a couple of them. They were like, "Yeah, I got confused. There's only 5 dots." Well, that's the way all bowling lanes were back in the day. They only added the 7th dot, the ones on the outsides, later on when they were synthetic. Oh my goodness gracious, Gabriel? What's going on here, buddy? Another open frame, and that one an unforced error, missing a single pin spare, one you would expect he would have no problem with. But he's digging himself a hole early. And now he seems like he just wants to stand there and think about it. Well, you start with back-to-back opens, and it'll make you think, that's for sure. The action on our right, on lanes 5 and 6, that's Division II. And we will recap how their stepladder played out when we get to the end of the show today, after we talk to our winner. Gabriel taking a little extra time to regroup and calm himself. Oh my goodness, once again through the nose, he nearly had another 4-6. Breaks it down, has just the 6 pin, but he's going to have to make some kind of adjustment to get off the nose. Right now, he'd just like to get off the schneid and get a mark. Once again, he's taking his time. Probably a good idea given how shaky his start has been thus far. Come on, Gabriel, pick it up. There you go. All right, he can breathe a sigh of relief now. But now Caden White with a strike working in the second. This is the time you want to jump on an opponent. When he makes a mistake, you get a strike up and you can grow that lead. And that's exactly what Caden does. The psychology of match play. When you get an opponent down, you want to stomp on him. He gives it a big rotation at the bottom of the swing, and down they go. The lead now 22 pins. He can increase it to 32 with another strike. And that's exactly what he does. And now Gabriel thinking, okay, it's my turn. I could use some of those strikes too. Caden high flush with that one. 10 in the pit. Gabriel appears just a little bit shell-shocked. I guess I don't blame him. Somewhat unusual backswing. Watch this. See how he carries it up to the top? Oh, and he trips the 4-9. That's how you get him. He reminds me a bit of a player we saw back in the 80s on the PBA Tour named Joe Hutchinson with this kind of backswing. They're almost identical. He's got a little different through swing, though. A little high, but he trips the 4, and something else got the 9. I'm not sure what. Gabriel is 18 years old, so this is his last season in youth bowling. He's won 1 KCO in Leavenworth. He says he aspires to become a pro bowler someday, or perhaps a mechanic at a bowling center. Obviously, with as many bowlers as there are in the family, he spent a lot of time in bowling centers. Yikes. Big pull that time. That ball never got to the right of the head pin. Lucky to get 7. Leaves the 1-3-6. This is a spare you don't see right-handers leave all that often. It should be fairly simple. Just put the ball in the pocket. Right on the 1 and 3. The 3 will get the 6. He is really taking his time. Plotting. There you go. Want to see some of the first balls right where that one went. Right in the 1-3. Well, Caden with a 32-pin lead and a double up. This could get ugly for Gabriel pretty quickly. Unless the Caden White Express gets derailed here. Well, that one gets away from him and it goes high. So at least the string of strikes stops. Caden's won a couple of KCOs. Also, he won one Heart of America event and 2 Kansas City USBC tournaments. Covers the 6. Let's take a look at these two side by side. It couldn't be much more different than they are. Caden, a 2-hander. Gabriel, a 1-hander. Freeze him at the release point. In pretty similar position here. Gabriel playing a much straighter shot, which you would expect. With a 2-hander's higher rev rate, he ought to be able to cover a few more boards. And there's Gabriel congratulating Gabriel coming off the lane. Don't see that every day. Oh, you don't want to see this every day. A stone 8. Caden can't believe that one didn't go. When you see the stone 8 like that, the ball actually chops the 5 straight back off the 8. Very unusual. But he covers it with ease. Maintains his 30-pin lead. And now Gabriel's got to get busy and go to the whip. This match a long way from being over, but if he wants to make it competitive, he's going to have to string some strikes to get back in it. Pulled it. Oh, man, he almost had the 5-10. Well, that is one of the disadvantages of having this kind of arm swing, where he kind of muscles it to the top of the swing rather than just letting it swing freely like a pendulum. It's easier to keep the ball on line if you don't muscle it and you just swing it freely. Start it on line, it'll stay on line. For the most part, at least. But when you're muscling it to the top of the swing, you then have to hope that it drops in the slot, and quite often he kind of pulls it. If he'd throw more shots like that, he'd find himself in the pocket more often. He obviously threw a lot of good shots today, or he wouldn't have made the step ladder finals. So hopefully we'll see that side of Gabriel before this match is over. I know this is frustrating when you bowled well all day and then the lights come on and all of a sudden it's gone. And you just don't know what to do. And then you've got a camera pointing at you on top of all that, and it can be very disconcerting. It's okay, Gabriel. There's only about 100,000 people watching. No pressure. Oh, man, that was not that bad of a shot. Just a little high. But he pays the penalty. He broke up the 4-9 earlier in the match, but this time, no luck. The 4-9, here's how you make it. Put the ball on the left edge of the 4-pin, slide it over into the 9. It can be done. But it takes a very precise shot. For a 200 average player, I'd say it's probably about a 8-1. But you can't throw it there and expect to make it. So another open frame, and that's 3 open frames in this match. And that's not a formula for victory, I'm afraid. Caden White in the driver's seat. But he better not get too complacent. If Gabriel Coleman can capture lightning in a bottle and strike out, he can shoot 193. Caden is only going at a 207 pace. Throw a few more like that, and he'll just leave Gabriel behind in a cloud of dust. That's the best shot he's thrown all match. Watch this. This will hit in the half pocket. Watch the 5-pin, the one on the middle of the rack. Boom, it just takes out the 4 and 7. Another strike here would be a 54-pin lead. Not quite. Caden's playing really deep on the lane, and he's throwing it with quite a bit of speed. And what we've seen on these lanes today, the scores were not that high in St. Joe today. And what we saw a lot of were balls not quite finishing, and that's what happened with Caden that time. It just kind of flattened out at the end. I saw several 8-10s, 5-7s, leaves like that you usually associate with a ball that just is DOA when it hits the pocket. And in the case of that last one, it just hit a little too thin and couldn't get the left side of the rack out. So Gabriel's still in it, but he has no more margin for error. He's got to strike out. But he's capable. That's better. Oh, man, it was close. Just a fraction too high. The old pesky 4-pin. If you can hit in those slightly high spots in the pocket and still trip the 4, you know you got it going on that day. But Gabriel just didn't get that break, so single pin spare. He should cover it easily. And he does. He says his best moment in bowling was when he shot his high game, 299. And I did not ask him what pin he left on the last ball. That is usually an indication of what state of mind the player was in when they threw that last ball. If it's a 6-pin or a 3-pin for a right-hander, you know they went high, and we see it a lot with players who aren't used to being in that situation. When you're nervous, the tendency is to pull it left. But if you left a 10-pin or a 4-pin, pretty good shot in the pocket. Just didn't quite get them all to go. All right, Gabriel. He needs strikes. Oh my goodness gracious. Again, just a little high, and 4-9. Wow. Yeah, there's some sort of debris up on the approach. Well, it's just about slipped from his grasp here. If he were to make this and strike out in the 10th, he would shoot 171. Caden is likely to pass that with the first ball he throws in the 9th. But if he has any chance at all, he better make this. And And that'll just about do it. That gives him 130. The best he can get now is 160. Caden is sitting at 157 if he fouls out. And I don't think he's gonna. Just saying. He's gonna put this match in the win column with this ball. And did I mention something about 8-10s a little while ago? Doesn't matter. It was enough to win the match. But that happens when your ball just has nothing on it when it hits the pocket. Now, that's not necessarily because he threw it badly. It could be he's just playing so far to the left with his feet, playing so far to the left at the arrows that he's not finding much friction on the lane. So the ball is hydroplaning, skidding, not into a good roll when it hits the pocket and it deflects. And that one never gets up to the pocket at all. He leaves the 2-4-5. Caden is going to move on to match 2, but he's not finishing this match very strong. Playing the 2-4-5 from the right side of the lane, that introduces the possibility of a chop. Well, I was referring to chopping the 2 off the 5. I don't expect him to miss the front pin completely. But that's a 181 to finish, more than enough to win the match. But you got to wonder what his mindset is going into match 2. He had it going for a little while. But like I said, these lanes were not yielding the high scores that we've seen at so many KCOs this season. You had to be pretty precise to get the strikes to go. Once again through the nose for Gabriel, leaves the 3. He's just going through the motions to get the match over with. He knows he's beat. But either way, this will be his best finish at the KCO this season. Previously, his best was in February in Leavenworth when he finished 9th. So this was his first stepladder finals of the season at the KCO. So he can take that positive with him going forward. There's a spare. And a strike on the fill ball would give him 150. And I know he will head back to Excelsior Springs with the rest of the Coleman family, and they will go bowling, because that's what the Colemans do. And God bless them for that. Well, that's a 6 count to finish, to add insult to injury. A 146 finish. It's Caden White who's moving on to match 2, and his next opponent is Logan Bennett. We'll see him go at it next. Well, for Gabriel Coleman, that wasn't exactly the ideal time to bowl his second lowest game of the day. But in sports, sometimes that happens, and you just have to learn from it and come back stronger next time. Gabriel dug himself a hole by starting with back-to-back opens and then had 2 more opens late in the game. Sometimes you just can't get out of your own way. But honestly, except for an early turkey to exploit Gabriel's slow start, Caden White didn't exactly light it up. A 181 isn't usually going to win these head-to-head matches. And I have a sneaking suspicion he'll need more than that if he wants to go much further. But for the time being, it's Caden White who's advancing to match 2, where now he'll face another player who's making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, Logan Bennett. Logan is bowling in just his 3rd KCO of the season. At the March Points Tournament, he finished 20th and got rated down to Division 2. And last month in Leavenworth, he was the tournament leader in Division 2, finishing 2nd. And that stellar performance put him back in Division 1, where his confidence helped put him right back in contention today. These two have been hovering around 3rd or 4th all day, so I look for this to be a close match. Logan, being the higher qualifier, had the choice of starting lanes, and he has elected to lead off. That ball just finished a little late, and the 6-pin didn't want to play, so it lays in the gutter and leaves the 10 undisturbed. Logan goes and fetches his spare ball to go cross lane at this single pin spare. And he covers it with ease. Now Caden White, who started bowling at the age of 12. His high game, a 280. High series, 750. That's pretty juicy. But he starts the match going through the nose and leaves the 610. Well, not only did he win the KCO in February, that was the one-step ladder you didn't get to see, he also finished 3rd at the March Adult Youth Tournament. Covers the 610. Those are his only 2 step ladders of the season thus far until today. Wants to be an engineer when he grows up. How about that strike right there? That was textbook. That's the way you draw it up. Watch how the 1 takes out the 2, the 2 takes out the 4, the 4 takes out the 7. Bingo. That's how they describe it in all the textbooks. All right, Logan Bennett. He started bowling at the age of 15. He's only been at it 3 years. He's 18 now. This will be his last year in youth bowling. And he leaves the 1-2-10, a version of the washout. Move your feet about 5 boards to the right of your strike position. Throw it over your strike target. The ball will cross over to the Brooklyn side and knock that 1 pin into the 10. Well, you got to hit the pin in front on any spare. So there's an open. Logan got started when he saw his high school tryout sheet and decided to fill it out, turn it in, try it out, and he liked it. And he got pretty good at it really quick. High with that hit. Breaks up the split. Leaves just the 6. This kid, not only has he only been bowling 3 years, but he has multiple 300s. So obviously, it came pretty naturally to him, I'd say. Caden says his best moment in bowling is winning tournaments. He'd like to win another one today. Oh, and if he gets enough breaks like that, he just might. That ball very thin hitting the pocket. But watch the head pin, the pin in front. It'll go to the left wall, come back and get the 4, 5, and 7. The classic wall shot. And another one almost exactly like it. Once again, thin in the pocket. The head pin goes to the wall and comes back and violently smokes the 4 pin. I loves me some light shakers. And, you know, solid strikes, I'll take those too. And Logan just showed you how to get one. Smacking out that 10 pin with authority. Watch this. Watch the 6 pin, the second one from the right. This is what you want the 6 pin to do. Come back and knock that 10 pin out. All right. With a strike working, he can cut into Caden's lead if he can put another one right behind it here. Oh, but it's just fractionally high and just high enough that he does not get the break on the trip 4. He sure could have used a strike there. Logan Bennett, who lists Chris Prather as his favorite pro bowler. Easy peasy conversion of the 4 pin. But Logan looks like he might have a tiger by the tail here. Caden White working on 3 in a row. And he comes in a little high. Well, Caden, we're going to have him around for a while. He's just 16, so he's got a couple more years in youth bowling. So you may see him on Prodigy for the next couple of years. Takes care of the single pin spare. Pretty consistent in his performance at the KCOs this year. There's only once this season that he finished outside the top 10. And that was back in November when we were in Lawrence, Kansas. He finished 13th. He made sure that time. Didn't give it as much room to the right. Here's Caden's footwork, 5-stepper, little crossover step with the second, slide foot perpendicular to the foul line, a little hop. The half pocket, but that 6 pin does its job, takes out the 10. Oh man, he threw that one so hard, I didn't think it was going to make it back. But he throws it out to the right side where there's lots of friction, and with his rev rate, he's able to bring it back to get the light shaker. He comes straight up the back of the ball. That's what you like to see. You get less deflection when you do that. The ball will penetrate through the pins better. But now the question is, can he figure out the left lane? He's struck twice in a row on the right lane. This left lane has been a mystery to him so far. and the mystery goes unsolved for the time being. Logan says he wants to be an automotive technician. How about that? Spare, covering the 3-6, but he's spinning his wheels right now. Can't get out of the mud. He needs to string strikes. He's got a pair of strikes, but just can't figure out the left lane. But now Caden, with a strike working, can just about put Logan out of his misery here with 2 more strikes. Oh man, he gets the can opener. Wow, watch this. This ball is going to hit in the half pocket, and there's some deflection here. Watch that ball. It's going to end up right between the 5 and 6. That ball finishes between the 9 and 10. Another one? Yes. So Caden with 6 strikes in 8 frames. Tough to beat a guy who's bowling like that. Swings that thing out to about 8. And that time the ball finished behind the 8 pin. That ball was really climbing when it got to the pocket. All right, Logan, you got to keep the right lane. Oh, boy. Well, he got those 2 strikes on the right lane, and now he loses the right lane and leaves the 6-7. Here's how you make it. Put that ball over on the very right edge of the 6. Gosh, we are so overdue to have somebody make this or make any one of these wide open splits. Nobody's made one in a long time on Prodigy. He gave it a ride. But it's another open frame, and now Caden's lead is, well, almost insurmountable. 67 pins with just 2 frames left. I think Logan just wants to get this over with. Yeah, he just heaved that thing out there to try to keep it on line, and it just didn't finish. 1-8. Here's a spare we don't see very often. Got to put the ball right on the front, slightly to the left center. No, he's going with a backup ball, and that's not going to work. Yikes. When it rains, it pours. Caden White has won match 2. And Logan just wants to go home. That's all right, man. I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. Week 10, doesn't matter. Actually, when you're in this situation, you got a couple of free frames. Thing to do is try another ball, try another line, see if there's a different way to get a good look in case you need to change. And he misses the 10. This is kind of what he did in the first match when he had the game wrapped up at the end. He started leaking oil. Not that it matters, but you like to stay in stroke. And you got another match coming up. You don't want to get out of your rhythm. That's a better shot. But you saw that thing just barely ticked the head pin. He got another light shaker to go on this one. Once again, that head pin will go to the left wall. See how it started to hook, but then it flattened out at the end? That's what we saw all day today in St. Joe. I think he did go with a different ball that time, and I don't think that's the one he wants. So he will shoot at the 5-pin. I'm not sure if that's the ball he was throwing earlier or not. It's hard to tell. But that one hooks left again, so I don't know. It might have been a different ball than what he'd been using. In any case, it's a 225. Keep throwing those and you'll be a tough out. Logan won't take much time on these last few balls. That one goes through the nose, and he'll just grab anything handy and go cross lane at the 6-10. Well, a 160 if he throws a strike on the fill ball here. As he waves up the player on lane 5, although that player wanted to wait, so he didn't even see that ball cut through the pins, leaving a stone 9. He doesn't care. He's like, get me to the car. I want to go home. Caden White will have his hands full next with P.J. Douglas, I promise. Hello, Prodigy Land. It's me, Coach Randy. I was recently invited back to be the guest once again on the world's #1 bowling podcast, Phantom Radio, hosted by Len Nicholson, the longtime lane maintenance director for the PBA's national tour. Len's been doing this podcast for over 20 years, making him one of the early pioneers of podcasting. His guest list on the show reads like a who's who of bowling. Just in the last year or so, he's interviewed people like Carmen Salvino, one of the PBA's founding members, Del Warren, the lead instructor at Kegel, Larry Lichstein, the PBA's longtime director of player services and a PBA Hall of Famer, Kim Terrell-Kearney, Hall of Fame bowler and college bowling coach, and the list goes on and on. Well, Len learned of what we're doing with Prodigy Bowlers Tour a while back, and he invited me on the show to tell the Prodigy story. And now I want to invite you to check out his podcast. Go to www.kegel.net/phantom. I've now appeared on the show twice, on the March 29th episode and most recently on the May 10th episode. And to hear Len tell it, he may even invite me back again. He really likes Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Len Nicholson also has asked me to help spread the word about his new Phantom Radio Junior Bowling Club. It's free to join, and there'll be free prizes, instruction, and you might even get to hear your name on the Phantom Radio podcast. To sign up, go to kegel.net/phantom and look for the link to join the club. We now return you to our regularly scheduled program, already in progress. I guess it's safe to say my prediction of a close match between Logan Bennett and Caden White couldn't have been more off, much to the dismay of young Mr. Bennett, I'm sure. Logan just didn't have his best stuff and never quite got lined up on the TV pair. And when you're only able to put 2 strikes on the board while your opponent is throwing 7 of them, well, that's not usually a winning formula. Still, Logan had a nice showing today in St. Joe, finishing 4th. But now it's Caden White who has won 2 matches and now must face one of the hottest youth bowlers in the area. P.J. Douglas won the March points tournament at the KCO a couple of months ago and was the U18 boys qualifying leader at the Kansas Pepsi tournament in April. So I imagine Caden will have his hands full in this match, as PJ is bowling as consistently well as I've seen him all season. if confidence means anything in a match, this ought to be a good one. Both of these players should be very confident coming in. Right on the nose for PJ to start. Breaks up a split. Leaves just the 7-pin. PJ with, this will be 5 top 5 finishes this season at the KCO. He won the March Points Tournament, finished 4th in the December Youth Adult, finished 3rd in October and September. Covers the 7-pin. Well, for all the accolades we can shower PJ with, Caden White coming off 2 wins in the stepladder today. I got to believe his confidence is buoyed by that, despite the sort of shaky finish to both matches. And he comes out, looks like he's going to leave a stone 5, if there is such a thing. But he gets a lucky break off the wall. I think this will be the head pin that comes back off the wall. You see he hits in the half pocket. The ball deflects to the right of the 5-pin, and the head pin comes off the wall and noses out the 5-pin. And that's kind of like what we've seen all day in St. Joe today. These players having trouble getting the ball to finish at the end. It just flattens out. Did it again. Ball deflects to the right of the 5, and now he's got a problem. The 5-7. Put the ball on the right side of the 5-pin, slide it over into the 7. Usually the way you make this is just use your strike ball, move your feet about 3 boards to the left, throw it over your strike target. He goes with his spare ball and gets a little too much of the 5-pin, so an open for Caden White. You don't want to give too many of those to PJ. He will make you pay. PJ's lowest finish at the KCO this season was 6th. That's some consistent bowling there. And you see, he barely got the 5-pin to go out. That was almost a 5-10. I don't know if the back ends just need to be cleaned or what the deal is, but we've seen this all day. And PJ, who has had problems with 10 pins occasionally on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, misses another one. And he hands the open right back to Caden. So this match is all square. PJ won't show you much emotion, but he burns on the inside. Oh, man! A little high, and there's that trip 4 that we were looking for. A trip 4 in slow motion. Watch this. This actually is in slow motion, but even at real speed, it was in slow motion. And just enough to get that 4 to fall forward. Thank you very much. Caden gave it a little extra at the bottom. It finished harder, a little too hard. Could have been a split. He leaves just the 6-10. And he gets it. So it's a conundrum. You either have to give the ball a little extra at the bottom to get it to finish, which risks going high, or you play around in that half pocket area, and there's no telling what you're liable to leave there. Now this time he gets a ring and 10. At least that looked a little more normal. Enough of these 8-10s and 5-7s and crazy stuff. We don't usually see these players leaving. 5-pin. He covers the single pin spare. And now he will sit down and contemplate how he's going to make an adjustment to get the ball to react the way he wants it to. Of course, Caden plays a less direct path to the pocket. PJ more down and in. This should play to his benefit. But you can't pull it like that and expect to get away with it. That could have been a split. These lanes are touchy. We've seen some lanes at the KCO this season that were just easy peasy, but these are not like that. Oh my goodness. He hooks past the 4-pin and chops the 7 off of the 4-7, and well, another open frame. I don't think PJ likes the right lane. I wouldn't. Well, he gave that one a little more room and it just didn't come up. And I tell you what, this can be very frustrating for a player. It's certainly confusing because you make what you think is the right adjustment in one direction, and the ball goes high. You make the logical correction in the other direction, and the ball doesn't get up. What do? You make the spare, and then you try to figure out how to get the ball reaction you're looking for. A modern player would probably go to a different ball. But I wonder sometimes if it isn't an angle problem. Oh my! Caden got that swisher to go, and the 5-pin backdoored the 7. Watch this. He'll hit pretty light, certainly the half pocket, and that 5-pin will go in front of the 7 and then lean into it from the backside and tip it forward. Luck? I don't think so. That was a good ball. He threw it with a lot of power. Very similar shot that time, but didn't quite get the left side to collapse out the 7. So he'll have to go at this one. He's been good with his spares. So PJ returns to the scene of the crime. So far, he is still looking for a mark on the right lane. He's gone 9 open and then 8-1 chop on the right lane. Let's see if he can improve on that here. Yeah, I'd say he figured it out. Probably the best ball he's thrown this match. Watch this. He must have made a slight move and just executed the release better. That came off his hand more behind the ball. That's what you're looking for. Now see if he can put a double up, close this lead down to just one pin. That's how it's done. Game on. Here's PJ's footwork. He's a 4-step approach guy. Nice slide, foot perpendicular to the foul line. This is a beautifully executed shot. He gets real low at the foul line. He's got to. He's 6'3". And there's another light shaker for Caden. And now if he can just get the left lane to do that for him, he'd be in business. Watch this again. Head pin goes to the left wall and just blasts out the 4-pin. But can he put a string of strikes together? That's what he's going to need. Oh, and he gets another wall shot. And that puts PJ back behind by 11. Here's Caden's footwork. He's a 5-stepper. Playing just left of the 4th arrow out to about 12. And because he's not throwing it out into the friction, it doesn't have the strong finish, but he's getting that wall action. Boy, PJ's got this right lane going now. He's figured it out. Watch it again. Throwing this over about 9 at the arrows. Really just straight up 9. Classic down and in shot. No wasted energy on these balls. It's another good one. Oh boy, was it. He just shredded the 5-pin. Watch it again. Oh, we're going to see them side by side. Two very different approaches. Synced up at the release point. And PJ just rips the rack apart. And you see that light shaker that Caden's been getting. He'd like another one here. Well, you got to hit the head pin to get the light shaker. And now he's got a problem. The 1-2-4-10, the washout. Throw that head pin over into the 10. The ball will get the 2 and the 4. Looks easy enough. Can he do it under pressure? Yes, he can. That was huge. He's trailing by 13 pins now. If he misses this, he's down by 24 or more. Watch this. Boy, this is big time. And there was never a doubt. 10th frame. He's got a double. There's the first one. Now, if he can get this next strike, he'll bring this match down to just within a mark. That was big. But it may all come down to this ball. If Caden doesn't strike here, his chances of winning become slim. Oh, he gets the messenger. Wow. That could not have been timed better. if you're in the Caden White rooting section. Watch the head pin go to the left wall, and here it comes. And he'll give that one a little fist bump every time. Count is important. Get all you can. Boy, that's the best ball he threw the whole match right there. That is a 203. We'll take another look at that last ball. Even though it's just a fill ball, it was huge because it'll force PJ to get real good count. Boy, he planted that one in the pocket. PJ with a 3-pin lead will need to fill 18 in the 10th to win by 1. 9 spare 9 would do it. Oh, look out. Oh, man. He had grandma's teeth staring at him for a minute, the 4-7, 9-10. If they had stood, he'd have lost the match. Watch this. There it is, grandma's teeth right there. But something gets the 10, which takes out the 9. So he gets 8. That means he needs to make this and strike on his fill ball to win by a single stick. He chopped the 4-7 earlier in the match, but he gets it this time when it really matters. And now it comes down to this. We've seen PJ in this situation before against Colby Lovegren at the March Points Tournament in the championship match. He needed a strike to win by 1, and he threw his best ball of the match and just steamrolled him. He's in exactly the same position here for a chance to get into a championship match against Colby Lovegren. A strike to win. And he does it again. Boy, these two players, good in the clutch, and man, if there is one trait you'd like to have as a tournament bowler, it's to be good in the clutch. That is some bowling right there. So PJ Douglas takes care of business, and now he is moving on to the championship match. 204 to 203. And we get a rematch of what we saw in March in Olathe. It's PJ and Colby, the sequel. I don't know what more you could possibly ask for from a bowling match. When the outcome is riding on the very last ball, that's as good as it gets. And whether you were rooting for PJ Douglas or Caden White, You have to come away from that one knowing that they both bowled great in the clutch coming down the stretch. Each player made a mistake or two along the way, but then each player was razor sharp at the end. But PJ was just a fraction sharper. So that sets up a rematch of a title match we had 2 months ago in Olathe when PJ Douglas threw 3 strikes in the 10th to beat Colby Lovegren by a single pin. And while it's unclear whether that's really been gnawing at Colby ever since, what we do know is that these two have grown up in the same youth bowling program together, and they've been going at each other back and forth since they were tots. And now here they are at the final KCO points tournament of the season with a chance to take top honors. You can bet that for both of these two, it's not so much about the scholarship money they might win, but for the pride of winning. As we've seen before with these two, it tends to bring out their very best. Colby rips the rack to send a message to PJ right out of the gate. He won't throw a stronger ball than that all day. Watch this. Over the 4th arrow, watch the 5 pin race over to take out the 7. That's the one where you stand back so you don't get hit by the shrapnel. All right, PJ up on the right lane. He's figured this lane out. Well, he had it measured, but that one got away from him. So he begins with the 1-2-8-10, a form of the washout. Here's how you make it. Throw that 1 pin over into the 10. The ball will get the 2. The 2 will get the 8. If it goes according to Hoyle. But as we've said before, on all spares, the ball has to take out the pin in front. So that's an open to start. PJ and Colby have bowled league together at Olathe Lanes East for years. They have pretty much grown up beating up on each other on the bowling lanes. They know each other's games quite well. Good toss by PJ. Good bounce back shot after that washout, but not rewarded for it. 6 pin flies around the 10. That's what we call the ringing 10. He'll go cross lane at it. And he covers it. All right, Colby Lovegren. He won the very first KCO points tournament of the season back in September at his home bowling center in Olathe. And he has been close to the lead in every event he's bowled in this season. His low finish was 6th. Wall shot. Take him however you can get him. That's a double. Put some distance between himself and PJ right out of the gate. Look where he's standing, all the way up against the ball return. Swings it out to about 10, and it labors to get back. Even Colby, with all his power, having a hard time getting that ball to finish hard on the back end. We've seen it all day long. And that one doesn't quite get back. And now he's got a tricky little spare. You got to be careful with this. Double wood, 2-8. I recommend throwing a hook ball at double wood. That gives you the right side of the front pin you can hit. Get the ball to carry out, but you better not hook past the center of the front pin. And he almost does, but he gets it right on the face, and that will do it every time. As we mentioned earlier, the action to our right on lanes 5 and 6, those are the players in Division 2. And at the end of the show today, we will recap how their stepladder went. Look for that right after our interview with the winner of this match. Well, PJ just missed a little to the right, and the ball did not recover for him. So he's left with the 2-4-5, and boy, how many times have I mentioned this is a spare that is eminently choppable. You want to put the ball on the right side of the 2-pin, let the ball get the 5, the 2 will get the 4. You can make it on either side of the 2-pin, but that's what we recommend. Oh dear. He hits the 2-pin so thin it goes around the 4. Yikes. Watch it again. He didn't miss this by much. Just a little too thin on the 2-pin. Sends it in front of and around the 4. That's 2 opens in the first 3 frames, and PJ can't be happy with that start. But that's a good recovery. Solid strike. He's going to need a few more of those to climb back into it with Colby. Colby won't give him many openings. 4-step approach. Very straightforward game. Look at this. Look at how close the ball is to his ankle. That's what we like to see for maximum leverage. PJ has built a very solid game for himself. So is Colby. Tell you what, both of these players have stellar records at the KCO this season. There's Colby with the ball right under his head. That's what we like to see. He's in good balance. I've never seen him too far out of balance at the finish. And boy, he can really get those pins to talk. And what they usually say is, ouch. Here's Colby's footwork, 5-step approach. Now he will plant at the foul line rather than slide. When we talk of a player who plants, they go heel first with their last step. A slider will lay the ball of his foot down first and slide, and then the heel, when it hits the ground, helps to break the slide. Ooh, a high hit. Leaves the 6-10. You have to wonder if that was a miss or if that line he's been playing is transitioning. The lanes are always transitioning, actually. A bit of a misnomer when they talk about the lanes transitioning. The lanes change after every ball that's thrown. Every ball will pick up some oil off the lane. When you go bowling, your ball comes back out of the ball return chute. It has a ring of oil around it. It's picked up that oil off the lane, and now that oil isn't on the lane anymore. So that line that ball rolled on is a little drier. Oh, no. That looked like a pretty good toss. Oh, my goodness. It just jumped at the very end, and up pops the devil. The 4-9. Heard a couple of players tell me today that when they were trying to compensate for getting the ball to finish hard enough, they'd make a slight adjustment, and they'd leave the 4-9. Well, he had to go for it. You saw him turn away before the ball even got there. He knew it was left. But look at this. Now Colby has opened up a 59-pin lead, and Boy, that is a helpless feeling when you're in PJ's shoes. Every adjustment you make just doesn't seem to work. Colby with a double working. He can run away and hide here. Gets the wall shot. Kind of shakes his head like it didn't finish like I expected it to. Yep, that is a familiar refrain today. But he got the break. We saw Caden White get a bunch of these. A light shaker, head pin goes to the wall. Comes back, gets the 4.57 and the classic wall shot. Colby's like, I don't know. It's not what I had in mind, but I'll take it. You bet you'll take it. And then you come back with one of those, and now the lead is 79 pins. And PJ is still looking for his second strike of the match, while Colby has put up 6 in the first 7 frames. How do you spell blowout? PJ knows that this one is slipping away. And he makes a slight adjustment, figuring that might work, and no. 4.7. The best PJ can do now is 189. If he makes this and strikes out, that would give him 189. Colby is sitting at 158 right now if he doesn't throw another ball. And he's got 3 more frames left. So PJ can add. He knows what's going on. Well, he looked down at his feet that time, and I really did not expect the players to have any problems with the approaches today. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, they're bowling on wood approaches, which we haven't seen all year on the KCO. Oh, my. Well, some days you're the dog, some days you're the hydrant. Well, Colby's just in dead stroke. And I think this may be the first time all year we've seen somebody win the match in the 8th frame. 10 in the pit. And Colby Lovegren has won the Division I title at the KCO here in St. Joseph. Yeah, he knew that one got away from him as soon as he let it go, but it doesn't matter. Colby will age out of youth bowling this summer. So if we're going to see him on Prodigy Bowlers Tour after today, it'll have to be at next month's KCO Invitational, because after that, he'll be off to college. Maybe he can come back and bowl as an adult in the adult youth doubles tournaments at the KCO. Might see him there. PJ, on the other hand, has 1 more year of youth bowling, and his parents are actually looking forward to that because he and his brother Anthony will be bowling together on the same high school team next year. And that'll be pretty cool. And you never know. At the Prodigy Tournament of Champions in June, it could come down to P.J. Douglas versus Anthony Douglas for the coveted trophy pin. We might see a little Douglas on Douglas violence there. Oh man, he went for that one, and why not? That is a 131, and I'll bet P.J. Douglas hasn't bowled a 131 in 5 years. Well, happens to the best of them. Colby with a possible 255. Well, he'll shoot this 4-pin and we'll have a 244 if he fills it up on the fill ball. Colby Lovegren, who says he wants to be an engineer. Actually, both PJ and Colby want to be an engineer. And well, they engineered one of the biggest blowouts we've seen all year on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. That is a 243 to 131 final score. Colby Lovegren becomes our third two-time winner on Prodigy this season, joining Rhett Ryman and Nolan Nash. We'll talk to him next. The 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions is coming. I'm not gonna lie to you. I screwed up and originally picked a date for the event that conflicted with another big youth bowling tournament in the area. And Prodigy is not here to compete against youth bowling tournaments. We're here to build up youth bowling. So for those Prodigy champions that might have been on the fence about which event they wanted to bowl in that weekend, I've got good news. We've moved the date of the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions to Sunday, June 25th. That's 1 week after Father's Day at Olathe Lanes East. Check in at 9:30 a.m., warm-up starts at 9:50, and we'll get you started bowling at 10 o'clock. Get there early so we don't start without you. Here's how the format will work. All the youth champions we crowned on Prodigy Bowlers Tour during the 2022-23 season who signed the coveted trophy pin will be eligible to bowl in the tournament for an entry fee of just $10. That's just to cover the bowling center for lineage. There are just 2 divisions in the Prodigy TOC. Champions who won in KCO Divisions 2, 3, 4, and 5 on Prodigy Bowlers Tour will compete in the handicap division, unless they finish the season in Division 1, in which case they'll bowl in the scratch division with the rest of the Division 1 champions. Each player will bowl 3 qualifying games, with the handicap division receiving handicap pins equal to 75% of the difference between their last KCO entering average and 200. Your 3-game total, including handicap, if any, is your final qualifying score. The top 4 in both the handicap and scratch divisions will receive a guaranteed spot in their respective division stepladder finals. But even the bowlers who finish out of the top 4 still have a chance to make the stepladder finals, as they will advance to the Prodigy Wildcard Round. The wildcard round is scratch in both divisions and is a single ball elimination format, where each player will throw 1 ball in the first frame, with the low pinfall being eliminated. If 2 or more tie for low pinfall, they'll go into a roll-off until we eliminate 1. Then they'll repeat the process in the second frame and so on until there's just 1 player left, and that player will claim the 5th spot in the stepladder finals. The winner of the stepladder finals in the scratch division will receive the first ever Charles Bostic Award, so named because Charlie won the most titles on Prodigy in its first season and won the first coveted trophy pin, which he then gave to Hunter Moffett back when I used to refer to Hunter as America's favorite 9-year-old. And the winner of the stepladder finals in the handicap division will receive the first ever Hunter Moffat Award, so named because Hunter won the first ever handicap event held on Prodigy back in 2017, and then went on to become the winningest player in Prodigy Bowlers Tour history. Then on our final show in Georgia, Hunter became the final Atlanta winner of the coveted trophy pin, which he then brought with him to Junior Gold in Grand Rapids and kept the tradition alive by giving it away to none other than Charles Bostic, the same guy who gave him the first one. Then, as the ultimate climax of the day, the winners in the handicap and scratch divisions will meet in the final showdown. In this single game match, the handicap division winner will bowl with handicap, while the scratch division winner will bowl scratch. The winner of the final showdown will claim the coveted trophy pin and all its season's worth of signatures that have been scrawled upon it. It's the grand prize they've all been playing for each season on Prodigy Bowlers Tour since 2016. And curiously, every single winner has given it away in a remarkable gesture of unselfish sportsmanship. Will that tradition continue here in America's heartland? We'll find out at the 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, Sunday, June 25th at Olathe Lanes East. That's a new date. We rescheduled it. Sunday, June 25th. Check in at 9:30 a.m. Warm-up begins at 9:50, and we start bowling at 10 sharp. It's the first ever Prodigy TOC in the greater Kansas City area, and the first time we've ever awarded prizes to winners in both a scratch division and a handicap division, in addition to the coveted trophy pin going to the winner of the final showdown. Plus, at this season-ending event, we'll also name the first ever recipient of the PBAA, that's Prodigy Bowlers Across America, Player of the Year Award, voted on by a select panel of judges and you, the Prodigy viewers. Stay tuned for further details on how you can vote. It's the 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, the season's last hurrah. Who will claim the coveted trophy pin? You really just hate to see it when a player of PJ's ability just lays an egg like he did in the championship match. Heaven knows he's a much better player than he showed. But it happens to the best of them in all sports. It happens to the best teams. I guess I don't have to remind Chiefs fans in this area what happened a couple of years ago when they went up against Tom Brady and the Bucs in the Super Bowl. But we'd rather not reminisce on that. One thing's certain about PJ Doukalis, he will be back. He has next month's KCO Invitational, and he has a whole nother year of youth bowling ahead next season. Colby Lovegren, on the other hand, will be aging out of youth bowling at the end of this season. But he has certainly made the race for PBAA Player of the Year interesting by becoming the third two-time winner on Prodigy Bowlers Tour this season, joining Rhett Ryman and Nolan Nash for that distinction. Maybe one of those three can win the KCO Invitational in June to set themselves apart as the only three-time winner on Prodigy this season. Or maybe PJ Doukalis can join them next month to make it 4 two-time winners this season and really muddy the waters for Player of the Year voters. In any case, on this day, it's Colby Lovegren who has the sweet taste of victory. He won the first KCO points tournament of the season in September, and now he has made it bookends, winning the last points tournament of the season here in St. Joe. And for that, he gets the honor of signing the coveted trophy pin.
Yeah, you've seen this guy before. Colby Lovegren. Well, PJ got you last time. You got him back this time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How'd you do it?
Well, I watched the match before. I saw the outsides were absolutely destroyed, so my game plan was just keep it in and hope for carry, and I got 2 lucky breaks, but besides that, the rest of the shots were pretty good. Yeah.
Scores were uncharacteristically low today at the KCO. Any clue as to why?
From what I noticed is the hand position had to be the same throughout, no matter what. If you got the hand position the same at the bottom, you had a little bit of misroom, but besides that, a lot of 4-9s, washouts, stuff like that.
Well, you bowled great. You were the number 1 seed again, and you ended up sealing the deal today. So you know what happens next. You get to sign the coveted trophy pin. You've already signed it once.
I did.
So now this will be twice, and now you become the 3rd player of the season to win twice on Prodigy this season.
Can I sign up here?
You can sign anywhere on it. He's going above the neck, ladies and gentlemen. And so, not only are you already qualified for the...
What's the date?
Today is...
May 7th?
I think so. I think it is. You're not only qualified for the Prodigy Tournament of Champions on June 25th at Olathe Lanes East, but by winning a second time, you join Brett Ryman and Nolan Nash as the 3rd 2-time winner on Prodigy, which has got to throw your hat in the ring for the PBAA Player of the Year award, which we've never given one of those before, and that would be pretty cool. So, folks, there's your champion at the Kansas City Open, all the way up here in St. Joseph, Missouri, which we're almost in Iowa, I think. I saw a sign for Council Bluffs on the way up here, but it was worth the trip today for Colby Lubkin. Congratulations.
Yep,
As we mentioned during the show today, the players to our right on lanes 5 and 6 were the Division II finalists. Here's how their stepladder played out. In the opening match, the number 5 qualifier, Seth Fletcher, took on the 4 seed, Nicholas Robbins, and it was Nick who prevailed 219 to 170. Full disclosure, I gave a long lesson to Nick about 6 weeks ago, and he went on to win the U18 boys division at the Missouri Pepsi tournament last month, so I'm pretty proud of that boy. Then in match 2, Nick continued his winning ways, eking out a close win over the 3 seed, Ethan Deal, 177 to 172. That set up the semifinal match against Olivia J. Smith, and Nick walked the tight wire again, this time getting past Olivia by just 6 pins, 205 to 199. That put Nick in the championship match against the tournament leader, Dylan Pollard, the Dill Pickle. And I warned you guys about the Dill Pickle when he made the show back in January at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas. The Dill Pickle uncorked a monster game to take the title from Nick Robbins, 254 to 196. So once again, congratulations to all 5 division winners at the 2023 Kansas City Open May Points Tournament. On our last show, we told you that the winner in Division 5 was Connor Boob. In Division 4, Grace Ryder won the championship, giving her titles in the first points tournament of the season in Division 5 and in the last points tournament of the season in Division 4. We showed you the stepladder finals in Division 3, where the winner was Kelly Kritzler. The player that none of them in Division 2 could quite dill with was the Dill Pickle, Dylan Pollard. And in Division 1, it was Colby Lovgren who made it bookends, winning the first points tournament in September and the last points tournament today in May. Big congratulations to all 5 champions at the May KCO. There's only one KCO left on this season's calendar. It's the biggest event of the KCO season, as only players who participated in a minimum of 5 Kansas City Opens are eligible for the KCO Invitational on June 4th at Olathe Lanes East in Olathe, Kansas. Last year, the Kansas City Open awarded a little over $30,000 in scholarship prizes at the KCO Invitational, and I think they might get pretty close to that figure again this season. Then, on Sunday, June 25th, all the champions who you've seen featured on Prodigy Bowlers Tour telecasts this season are invited to participate in the big season finale, the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, where we'll crown a champion in the scratch division and in the handicap division before the two of them will meet in the final showdown to see who will win the coveted trophy pin. And we'll reveal who has been voted the PBAA, that's Prodigy Bowlers Across America, Player of the Year. Stay tuned to this channel for details on how you can make your voice heard in the balloting for Player of the Year. For more information on the Kansas City Open, visit their website at www.kansascityopen.com. You don't have to live in the area to enter the KCO, but spots do sell out. So if you'd be interested in traveling to bowl in a KCO next season, visit their website. That's where they'll post next season's tournament schedule once it's set, and that's where you'll be able to download entry forms. If you'd like to support the creative work that goes into producing Prodigy Bowlers Tour, become a Prodigy patron. For just $5 a month, you'll get early access to all our full-length episodes. And for $10 a month, you'll not only get early access, but you'll become an executive producer of the show, which gets your name in the closing credits at the end of each episode. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and follow the prompts to become a Prodigy patron. You know, there's also a Prodigy Bowlers Tour Facebook group where you can keep up on all things Prodigy and even get some behind-the-scenes stuff. From any page on Facebook, just type Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to a page where you can submit a request to join the group. But remember, answer the 3 screening questions. If you don't, your request may be declined. Smash the subscribe button and leave a thumbs up on the video you're watching. And please leave a comment down below. All those things really help us grow the channel. I don't know how exactly it affects the YouTube algorithms, but it does. So that's it for this edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. This is Coach Randy wishing you the very best, both on and off the lanes, and hoping you'll join us again for the next edition of Prodigy in June as we bring you the KCO Invitational. But for now, go get your bowl on.